Welcome to the first installment of Klown's Kitchen on KKV TV. We're going to be looking at behind the scenes of the meals that we create for our vape crew and the troop in the alley. Today we're going to be doing duck broth ramen made from the ingredients at your local Asian markets. Your Asian markets will find all of these ingredients here, a little hard to find. In the next clip we will explain all the different things and where you can find them. But today we're going to be starting with dried flour noodles. Chicken broth from a local grocery store, does not have to be from the Asian markets. Dried kelp, dried mushrooms, dried bonito flakes, kosher salt, 2 onions, and dark soy sauce. And of course, a pot. So what we're going to attempt to do is we're going to try to go into the Oriental market and show you exactly the ingredients we're going to be using. Hopefully they don't yell at us for recording, but if they do, we're still going to try to take pictures and show you what you're looking for because none of it's in English. So we're going to head in now. So the noodle aisle can be really daunting. There's a whole bunch of different options, and like I said, there's nothing in English whatsoever. All those wonderful different flavors and different types of noodles, but some are English, but nothing exactly what it's made of. So the easiest way to do this is find the ramen noodle packs here, and you can either do the yellow or the orange. I really don't see much of a difference, so we always buy the yellow. Dried noodles, under $4. Can't beat that. So all the different sauces that are through this aisle, you're going to get lost, but trust me, most of these you can find the names because the names are in what we recognize them as. So what we're going to be looking for is we're going to be looking for Pearl River Ridge Superior Dark Soy Sauce. It'll make the best for the stock itself. When you get into the table, you can use the regular Kikkomans, but this is what you want to cook with. It gives a better, bolder flavor. So this is where you're going to find all your dried food items, like we're going to be needing the seaweed, which is your nori and your kelp slices. You come down here, you're going to find the fish flakes, which these are the bonito fish flakes right here. And then also find the dried mushrooms, which here is all your listing of dried mushrooms, and we're going to be looking for shiitake mushrooms. So in this case here, the dried mushrooms will work perfectly. So when you get into an Asian market, you have all these different options. You have pretty much every leftover part is what they call offal. And you go through the entire thing. It's very, very, very confusing. But today we're going to keep it really simple, and we're just going to be doing a duck stock ramen. So we're going to come down to these wonderful little duck wings here. And this is the meat we're going to use to create the stock. So the stores are all going to be outfitted like this, where they pretty much have every accessory that you would want to outfit your kitchen. Today, Will has moved into a new place, and we're trying to outfit his kitchen to do his basic tasks. So as you go through, you do have a lot of the basic entry-level pots and pans, but they will work. There is no question about it, and they are relatively cheap. A lot cheaper than what you're going to probably find on Amazon and have to wait for the 2-day shipping. Fry pans, everything you could possibly imagine. Today, we are looking for between a 10 and a 12 quart pot, which this ES 22 centimeter pot is $21.99, comes with a glass lid and a vent hole. This will work perfect for what our needs are. So this is an onion. You can find them anywhere. This is a durian fruit. Don't get them confused. If you don't know what a durian fruit is, look it up on Google. You'll love it. So as we go through the process, we're going to start out by browning out the duck wings in the bottom of the pan. So we put a little bit of olive oil on the bottom, wait until it's getting a little bit hot, and then we're going to throw the duck wings in there skin side down and get a little bit of browning going. Then we're going to move over to chopping up the onion and then moving on through the process. There might be some spitting and spurting, but it'll move through it. It's not a big deal. Just make sure you adjust your heat so it doesn't burn. Now you're going to be trying to look for a coloration of about that. And once all of your wings look like this, then you can go ahead and cover with chicken stock just to cover up the meat. So as the duck wings are actually simmering right now, we covered it with 1 quart of the chicken broth and turn it up on high, wait for a simmer to go. So we're going to chop up the onions now. Start off by cutting off the center globally. Cut it in half again. And peel the outside layer. I know this is a little bit wasteful, but it is so much easier. Do the same thing to the onion. Peel the outside layer. Removes all that skin and all that crap. And then now you just chunk it in large pieces. Throw away the ends, chunk. Same thing here. Does not have to be perfect, does not have to be uniformed. It's all going to be strained out everywhere. So different ways you can chop it up, it doesn't really matter as long as it's chopped up so it fits in the pot. We're going to do that to both onions and then drop them into the pot with the duck and the stock. And then all you have to do is take up both of those onions, chunk them up, throw them in. It'll cool that down a little bit. And then you take your second container of chicken broth and you fill it all the way to the top. So we dropped the heat down to medium, so it's at a very, very small simmer. All right, well, kind of a rolling simmer. But what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the next ingredients in this, the soup base itself. So we're going to start with bonito flakes. Now, bonito flakes are actually a dried fish, and then they're shaved into these little itty bitty wood shaving type things here. And they are very, very pungent. You can smell the fish now. I'm pretty sure, Will, you can smell it really well, can't you? Yeah. And then we're going to push this into a little purse, and I'll show you how to fix that up. The next ingredient is going to be dried mushrooms. I like these because it comes in little trays. It just makes my life so much easier. But we're going to take probably a handful of these. We're going to say, what, 6, 8 of these things. Doesn't really matter. You can push more, whatever, less, whatever you're happy with the mushrooms, but you're really not going to get a mushroom flavor. I'm going to throw those in now. Move on, and we're going to move to the seaweed. Now, this is how it comes. It comes all wrapped up. And all I do is I tear off a few pieces about this big. It's literally there for that extra wonderful meaty flavor and texture. And I just rip it down to about that. So you get a whole lot from the store, and like I said, we went with this trip to the store. We showed you all the different packages and what they are, and we can show these at the end as well as if we need to. But that's all you need to do, and then we'll move on and show you how to make up the purse for this, and then we'll move on from there. So now that we've got these torn off into the strips, they can go right in because we're going to strain them off anyway. And then to make the little purse for this, all you're doing is a little bit of cheesecloth. You don't have to do this if you're going to strain it, but sometimes these get stuck in the pan. So all I do is I move these onto here. And then you just tie it up. So you bring up the 4 corners to each one, grab it, make a little ball out of it, and then you tie it up with some twine. That simple. Cut off the excess, and then you can just drop this whole thing in the soup. Okay, so now you got everything cushioned together, so we're going to squish it in. Yes, that's a technical term, a squish. I'm going to put that in there, and if you notice, there's a good amount of water, but the bones are still sticking out a little bit. So what I do is I top off with water until everything's pretty much covered. And then literally we put this on low simmer and let everything get soft and meld together, and then we'll move on to the next step from there. Alright, so we're about an hour and a half in now. Everybody's stove is going to be a little bit different, whether you're on gas or electric, but this is what we're looking for. We're looking for the skin and the meat to fall off the bones, and once it does that, we can strain all this off into a colander, catch it in a bowl. We're going to transfer it back to a pan and do our final seasoning. So all we have to do now is we've got a new pot of boiling water, almost up to the top, and then we're going to add in a good amount of kosher salt. You're going to want to have a high salt flavor in the water, almost like seawater, and then you'll be pretty good there. That'll season your pasta, so your pasta is going to be properly seasoned, so you won't have to add more salt at the end. Recover and let it come up to boil. We'll boil the pasta in that. With this here, we've got the reduction from all the ingredients being filtered out and strained out in the sink. Then we add the third container of low sodium chicken broth. That'll bring it up. The duck meat itself wasn't there to make it taste like duck. It was there for the collagen and the fats and content. And then the chicken broth is actually what the flavor is going to be. We're also going to add about 2 tablespoons of the dark soy sauce that you saw in the shopping trip. So 1, 2. Stir that up a little bit. You'll notice the color change. And then we're going to bring this up to a light boil again, and then we should be perfectly salted and tasted here. Alright, so the noodles that we pick up, they actually come in these little round pucks, and each one of these is a serving, of course. They're already pre-fried, you see all the stuff falling out. But they're pre-fried, we're just going to drop one of these baskets per serving. So in this case here, we've got me and Will eating, of course. So 1, 2, and both of us eat a lot of food. So 3, 4, and then we'll put another one in there just to show the noodles.
That bitch time.
That's it. Now I use tongs to chase it around, but you just wait for these a couple minutes and then stir them up, break them up, and then they turn into noodles and you strain them off just like pasta. Then over here, we've got everything cooked up. We got the new color for the stock. And you've got this nice rich color because of the soy sauce, and then the extra chicken stock thinned it out. And now you've got a nice chicken base with a good low fat count and very low sodium count compared to what you would get in the packets. And then this will be complete. So now your noodles are done. They broke apart all by themselves. They just naturally do that. And now you're done with noodles. You strain these off just like any other pasta, and then we dish into the bowls. We top off with the broth that we've made, and you've got homemade ramen. So once your noodles done, just pile them into a small bowl. We don't have a ladle. We forgot it. So,
I'm just poor.
Shit happens. But all we do is we pull this off, and then you just pour up to the bottom line of noodles. Don't have to fill completely over. And you have one portion of homemade ramen. So this is the conclusion. This is where we're going to sit down and eat the meal that we actually created. And today's meal was actually brought to you by Stellar Vapor. They're actually the ones. Doug over there is the one that donated the 2 different juices that we're using today. I'm using the Rounds watermelon dragon fruit. I actually do like it. It's 3 milligram Nick. It's got a good sweet flavor, all day flavor, and really good price. And of course, Doug's a really good guy as well. And I believe you're vaping on the Airheads Mystery.
Yep, 6 Nick, you know how we do.
Yeah, he's a little hardcore than I am. But as far as today goes, everything was really simple. Like I said, there's a hell of a lot of leftovers. We're only eating about a 1.5 nest versus, the 2 that we put in there for it. But you can actually just freeze the broth, put it up in the freezer, and you're all set to go. But at the same time, like I said, it's very simple. It's something easy, and it's so much better for you than those little packets. It comes out to be so much cheaper. But as far as that goes, this is me, Clown King, and of course, vaping with Will. And hopefully we'll see you on the next run. Bye.